Hey there everyone, Luke here, and after, let's be honest, not the best run of chapters that we've had in the series. I mean, some have been okay, but compared to some of the chapters that we've had in part 2, and especially in part 1, the last few chapters have not been particularly that interesting of chapters. Until this one. Yes, we're finally getting back into something that I've wanted for a while in the series. Development of the relationships. We've had the development of Mori and Nico, and now we get to move into the secondary relationship in the series, Keigo and Nemu. So yeah, this is a chapter focused entirely on them. It's chapter 218, titled Cats and Wolves Feud. Like, I don't even know what that last word even means. Like, if someone can point that out to me, that would be great. Yeah, so, like I said, moving along with the actual plot that, let's be honest, people pretty much care about. Like, they care about the development of Nemu and Keigo's relationship. I want to see that develop and improve, especially, like, we have Wolf in the mix now. And, yeah, even I'll admit, like, it has been getting a bit stale recently. And it's like, okay, now we're getting back into something really great and amazing. What makes the series, like, really stand on its own 2 feet. So, the chapter starts off with Keigo just, like, rambling to Nemu on the phone, just, like, casually saying something about a film that he saw and how he got super hyped for it, and when he saw it, it's like, yeah, this movie was made just for him, and Nemu's just there like, oh yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. Like, basically being like the one who's like, I don't want to tell him that this is boring to me, but at the same time, I do feel like bored here. So she's like being like, yeah, that's nice. She's probably been thinking, like, in the back of her mind for a while, like, can I go now? Like, I don't want to talk about this film. I mean, it's nice that you're talking to me, but I would prefer that you talk about something more interesting, Keigo. And this is where Keigo says that it's getting really late, and he chewed their ear off. That he actually worries about that, but Nemu's like too polite to be like, no, it's all right. I'll talk to you later. And as he's on his bed, Keigo starts to think like, oh, we talk on the phone once a week now, and we starting to become really close friends. And yeah, their relationship has developed pretty much from when Nemu was first introduced, when she first got into contact with Wolf, up until now. It's really become like one of the stronger relationships in the series, and one of the reasons why I always get so excited when we get chapters like this. I'm just waiting for that moment where they actually finally have their first kiss. But anyway, Nemu continues on and says like, oh, what's up with him? It was another total meaningless call. Why was it this way? We've talked once a week. So she's basically having like a similar conversation that Keigo had with himself, but with her. How they say they just chat about random things, and that's it. What was the point? Like, hey, if you're gonna have these kinds of relationship now, you're gonna have these pointless, boring conversations. Like, think like, where does this go? Why is this gone nowhere? She continues on and says, he can't be trying to get anything across to me, can he? I mean, he just babbles on about like his niche hobbies and everything that no normal girl would care about. Well, I do the phone equivalent of just smiling and nodding. So like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. So she's wondering what the purpose of the phone calls can be, because she doesn't think like it's going in a romantic direction, and she doesn't think Keigo is inviting her to turn it into that direction either. She says it's totally platonic. I guess that means it's just not interested in romance. No, you two are just too scared to admit to each other like, hey, we have a thing for each other. Let's go out. Keigo, whilst this is going on, Keigo's like getting like the opposite idea of what Nemu is thinking. He's probably thinking like, she has to get that I'm interested in now because I'm babbling on, like I'm going on like about random things, and I'm wanting to have a conversation with you about these random things. So you obviously have an interest in me. But Nemu's seeing like, oh, it's just babbling on about random things. Like, why would he be doing that? It's obviously not to be interested in me or anything. So after they start talking to themselves and debating about where they're going to take this relationship further, Keigo, I do believe, No, I believe that Nemu is the one that sends Keigo the text message, which cuts to the day where they actually do start to hang out with each other, and Nemu confesses to Kegel, like, hey, Wolf actually confessed his feelings to me. And this is where Kegel's like just freaking out, like, wait, Wolf confessed to you? Like, yeah, of course he confessed to Kegel. Like, obviously Kegel doesn't know, like, everything Wolf knows, but Wolf knows everything Kegel knows. So, yeah, but it doesn't, but yeah, it shouldn't surprise you that Wolf would have a bit of a thing for Nemu at this point, considering he's been around her just as much as you've been around her, Kegel. But yeah, he goes on and says, like, oh, you're kidding me, Wolf seriously did that. No, and he's, like, completely in denial about this being a thing. He's faithful, that Wolf is faithful to his desires. If he wants to do something, he does it. So Kegel says to Nemu, like, okay, what did Wolf actually say to you? And this is where Nemu is like debating, like, okay, I've got him here right now. I've told him that Wolf has confessed to me. Like, I can't bring it out of myself to confess that I have feelings for both Kegel and Wolf. Like, it's kind of like if Taya from Yu-Gi-Oh was like, oh, I like you, Yu-Gi, but I also like the Pharaoh, even though you're the same person technically. So it's kind of like going on here with Nemu, like she doesn't know where to give an honest answer here until she's actually sorted out her feelings and decided on, like, okay, I've got to decide on one or the other. Like, I'm going to have to go with Wolf or I'm going to have to go with Kegel. But in my opinion, I think the thing that's going to happen is that Nemu's going to, like, Nemu's probably going to pick both of them in some way. She's going to find a way to pick both of them, unless somehow Wolf gets separated from Kegel completely, and then she's like, okay, I can decide perfectly now who I want to be without it actually being awkward. You know what? If that actually happens, if Wolf and Kegel somehow manage to split apart from each other, they become separate entities altogether, and then Nemu's like, doesn't have any qualms with picking one of them because they're both in separate bodies, separate people now. If that happens, like, I'll be so happy that I called that. But for now, she says that she can't tell him that this is what's going on here. So she defaults to being like, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you. And Kegel's like on edge, like, no, come on, tell me, please, just tell me. I need to know this. Before Nemu says to it, like, hey, Kegel, what do you think? Would you be okay with me and Wolf actually dating? Like, if I reciprocate Wolf's confession, would you actually be okay with that? Like, which would be weird because, like, Nemu would technically be dating Kegel, because Wolf is part of Kegel and Kegel is part of Wolf, so it'll be like weird in that way. And Kegel doesn't even know how to respond to this. Like, he's just there, just bamboozled, because he's probably thinking, like, how is this gonna work? Like, technically you'd still be kind of dating me in a roundabout way, but he defaults to the fact that he cannot say. And to be fair, that's the best response you can give in this situation, because of the fact that, yeah, you can't really give an honest answer in this position. Like, your other half, the person that you have a crush on, actually has a thing for your other half, but also you don't know that your crush has a crush on you as well. So yeah, kind of awkward to go about this way. But he gives a basic honest answer of, like, it's her choice, and if Wolf said something like that, he wouldn't mean it as a joke. He would be dead serious about this. So it's a decision between the two of you, and I have no right to say this because I am not Wolf. But technically, you are Wolf in a roundabout way. Kegel, like, trying to, like, worm your way around this situation is not going to make it feel any better or any less awkward. So after Kegel gives his honest answer to Nemu at this point is just, like, really down in the dumps of, like, I wouldn't say down in the dumps, more like she's kind of, like, doesn't know how to feel about the situation, because again, she's, like, in love with both of them, and he's given her, like, basically the go ahead to, like, reciprocate Wolf's confession, but at the same time, it's just like, is that really fair on him? Like, if I'm not honest with him, like, is it really fair to cheat him out of a confession as well? So she just leaves it for today. And heads off. And this is where we see probably, like, the most serious expression that we've ever seen from Kegel, which makes sense because this is, like, a serious situation he's actually in now. Like, he has admitted that he's in love with Nemu, but Wolf is getting way ahead of him, so he's like, okay, I really have to get myself beefed up now to be worthy of Nemu, as he's cursing Wolf out and saying it must have been that day I came to and saw Nemu crying. So he's questioning what Wolf is actually doing, and that he's just sort of off, but he went and did that stuff, like basically like forced his own feelings onto Nemu before Keigo even had a chance to actually get in there. So at this point he's feeling that, but also feeling that he was just being a lame loser and procrastinating, and he's not gonna take anything now lying down. He's not gonna leave anything to chance. So at this point, he goes over to Murray, who's there with Khan, and they're like, "Oh great, Keigo's here. So good, we can start our training right now. You've got to turn into Wolf. So we're doing our usual casual training, obviously for when Nico gets back to her normal form, so that when that happens, then we are all prepared for the warlocks and everything, for the war that's eventually going to have to come for us all." So Murray's like, "Hey, come on, change into Wolf, we've got to get this show on the road." But this is where Murray realizes that, okay, something's going on with Keigo right now, and Keigo's there like, "Morihito, fight me. Don't fight Wolf. I want to be the one to actually fight you." And Murray's just there like, okay, is this really what you do? And Keigo is like, yes, this is what I really want to do. We don't actually see him saying that, but you can tell that this is what actually happened. Like, Keigo was like, yes, I'm dead serious. I don't want Wolf to come out. I don't want Wolf to get any more stronger. I've got to be the one that actually gets the strength and build myself up in this situation. And he'll soon reveal why that is. But we cut back over to Nemu, who's doing more transformation, getting more skills and abilities. If you remember at the beginning of the series, she could only transform into a cat. Now she's gained the ability to transform into several of her animals. The biggest one being the reindeer that she transformed into back earlier on in this part of the saga. So reindeer, I feel like, is the biggest one that she's transformed into, and if she could transform into that perfectly, then I feel like she could transform into any animal. I want to see her transform into a tiger next. A Nemu tiger, like a Nemu white tiger. I want to see her transform into that next. So anyway, the animal that she's been able to transform into now is a pigeon. So yeah, she's very excited about that. Like, yeah, I've transformed into a pigeon. Like, pigeon's a bit of a downgrade from a reindeer. I mean, it's still impressive. It's a bird that can fly, but still, downgrade from a reindeer. Yeah, downgrade from like an eagle or hawk or like a cat. Like, yeah, pigeon just seems like a real downgrade. But anyway, I digress. She says, "Nice, it turned out rather well. Acquiring the spell went smoothly. Like, all our extra practice paid off. Like, again, want the white Nemu tiger transformation. I want that, along with separating Keigo from Wolf." So she goes on and says, "There'll surely be a fight once Nico's restored. I have to give myself as many options as I can just to get..." Yeah, exactly. You need to transform into an animal that can actually fight. A white tiger, a lion, a rhino. Any animal, I don't care. Just make an animal that can actually fight back, that can actually like put up a decent fight, Nemu. Just transform into that. I don't care what it is. Like tiger, lion, bear, rhino, elephant, just whatever animal that can actually fight. Just please transform into one of them. But anyway, she continues on and thinks about what about Keigo, and she says she's practicing on her own just so I can be ready to, like, obviously the fact that she's thinking about Keigo as well as thinking like, she's probably thinking the same thing that Keigo is. Like, she needs to be worthy enough of both of them so that she can actually give a proper confession to not just Wolf but also Keigo as well. So as Nemu is flying away after her training, after she's been thinking about Keigo, she's like, I don't want to think about him at this time. Why did I even fall for him in the first? Why did I even fall for him in the first place? I can't even remember that. But as she's flying, she sees Morihito and Keigo fighting with each other. Like, obviously they're not real fighting, like fighting to the death kind of thing. They're fighting like training fighting, and as Morihito obviously is stronger than Keigo, like Keigo standing no chance of getting the crap being out of him by Morihito. He's saying like, Keigo, stop telling me to go all out nuts. If I hit you for real, you end up being just more than a bloody nose. Like, he's basically, so Morihito's holding back at this point because he knows like, if I go all out, I'm gonna hurt Keigo in more ways than one. He's gonna have like broken ribs, broken arms, broken legs. It's probably gonna be ending up in the hospital if I actually went all out, balls out on him for real. So he's just like, stop it right now, and stop it right now. I know you're practicing with float so that you can be ready in case anything happens, but this is no way of in no way any kind of technique practice. It's basically just a slaughter fence between Morihito and Keigo being the punching bag. So he goes on and says, if you want combat practice, just transform into wolf. And Keigo's like, no, I refuse to transform into wolf at this point. Say, for example, that there's a girl I like. If she is ever in danger, am I supposed to just use my other self just to save her? If I use my other self to save her, what does that say about me? Does that say like I am not worthy of this person, the one person that I actually like and I want to protect? And in order to protect, I have to transform into someone that I am actually not. That is not me. That is separate from me, even though they're inside my body and they come from me. Like, what does that say about me and my own strength? Is that just my life, to have someone else other than myself to protect her? And Nemu is hearing all of this. Like, she's hearing all of this and probably thinking like, wait, someone Keigo likes? No way, it can't possibly be me. Like, it really cannot possibly be me. And the way that's probably what's going through Nemu's mind as she's hearing all of this before she actually does hear the confession from Keigo. Like, although I really wish this had happened in a very different way. Like, I just hate it when it's like you have to go through these roundabout ways to get the confession out of someone and have the other person there hear it, but not have the person who's actually confessing realise that the person they're confessing about is actually there. Like, I really don't like that. And Witch Watcher's unfortunately fallen into the trap where Nemu transformed into pigeons, hearing this, is about to hear the confession from Keigo, and I really wish he had just said that directly to her face rather than saying it in this point here. Like, obviously it's not his fault because he couldn't have anticipated this pigeon right there, this random pigeon being Nemu. But anyway, I digress. He goes on and says, I know I'm not stupid, I'm aware that no matter how hard I try, I'll never be as strong as Wolf. Like, that's just going to be a fact that I'm just going to have to live with. But I do want to be like you, but there's no way I'll ever get close to being at Wolf's level. But I could just, but if I could just get just a little bit more, so much that I don't have to keep relying on Wolf to get me out of every single jam, then that's all I ask for. I know all this, but I can't stay the way I am now either. If I can't, then at least I want to get strong enough to be respected by myself, so that I can actually tell Nemu that I am actually in love with her. So yeah, he confesses whilst Nemu is there, obviously disguised as a pigeon, like doing that roundabout way of like, oh, we get the confession without actually someone need to be there. And yeah, I really wish this had been done different. I really wish it had just been like, just straight up, Keigo goes up to Nemu and says, I like you, but I can't be true to my feelings right now because I'm not as strong as Wolf. So until I'm like just slightly above his level, I'm never going to be as strong as him. But until I'm at a level where I'm like, okay, I don't have to rely on him to get you out of jams. Like, will you wait for me? Like, that would have been perfect. That would have been like a perfectly reasonable, logical way to do this. But no, they went down the cliche route of like, oh, the one that he's confessing about turns out to actually be there and hearing all of this. But this is where Morihito keels over, probably thinking like, yeah, I don't know what he's doing here. Like, if he's like grunting, like, or if he's laughing, like, he's probably got like a mixture of it. Like, oh, it took you this long to realise this. That's probably what Morihito is thinking right now as he's keening over. So yeah, this is where this is where Morihito gets like his second win of like, okay, I understand perfectly well, like, because Morihito's going through the same thing as Keigo is right now, like wanting to be strong enough to protect Nico and be respected, kind of the same thing that Keigo's going on right here. So they're going to give it everything they've got right now, as Nemu thinks like, oh, that's why at first it simply felt like we were on the same wavelength since we had the same issues, but then I watched your face, your own weaknesses. No matter how beaten and battered you were, you still got back up again and again. And Nemu already admires Keigo for that. Like, no matter what he's done, no matter how insecure he feels about his own strength, he's still trying again and again. So that's what she admires most about him, the fact that he's just been able to persist again and again despite all the disadvantages he's had about him. So in a way, that's probably why she fell in love with Keigo in the first place. The fact that he just had such tenacity and such a strength to carry on and keep doing what he was doing. So as Morihito and Keigo continue their training spar, and Keigo actually gets the drop on Morihito for probably the first time in a long time that's actually happened. Nemu flies away as she continues on and saying, "I'm the weak one, not you. But I can get stronger, strong enough that if someone tells me how they feel, I can feel confident enough to hear their answer. I'm not going to hesitate any longer. I'm going to get my feelings sorted out, and then I'll give you both my answers." So obviously they're both going to train themselves up enough so that they're like, okay, now we can do the proper confession without any interruption, without any hesitations, and we can give proper answers here. And the chapter ends with both Morihito and Keigo now being in the same situation, just wallowing in self-pity in a corner, being like depressive, like, oh, we don't have our loves here, we're feeling lovesick, the trials of being in love. And that's where the chapter ends. So overall, like I said, pretty solid chapter, really good to move that relationship between Keigo and Nemu forward, which is one of the side plots that I've been the most interested in, being the most engaged with. Like, the romance, in my opinion, between Nemu and Keigo has been much better than the romance between Morihito and Nico, because the romance between Nemu and Keigo has been like, it feels like more like a natural progression of like the two socially outcasts, the two socially awkward people just coming together, realizing like, hey, we're both very similar, we both have similar issues when it comes to our past and our powers and how we handle them. Like, Keigo obviously being a social outcast because of the fact that he has Wolf inside of him, and Wolf is a very dangerous individual to have inside of you, and that's what caused him to be consider himself an outcast. And obviously Nemu being an outcast because of the way she was brought up by her mother, like her mother telling her like, you cannot have any friends, you cannot have any relationships outside the family. Obviously that relationship is improving a little bit, as we saw with the chapter with her mother in the disguised as Morihito in the household, and her coming to terms with that and like reconciling with her daughter, and both of them coming together with that same camaraderie. It felt only natural that they would end up falling for each other. Now the question is like, how much more are we gonna like wait before we actually do get the full confession between Nemu and Keigo? Like, I feel like this will probably come after when Nico gets back to her full self and we have the next big battle. I feel like that's when we're going to have like the confession between Nemu and Keigo. And obviously for the next chapter I want to start like, okay, we've got to start wrapping up the second part, moving into part 3, where we're actually going to get probably the part where possibly Juru gets resurrected and takes over Nico, leading into part 4, where we have the end game war between the warlocks and the witches. And like I said, I really want that to come as soon as possible now, but it's something we'll just have to wait and see. But for now, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.